You're doing pretty good. You have a
Sure.
B. You have a B plus,
Okay.
a 4.3.
Nice.
But I'm gonna tell you, if you want to get a better grade, you need to start being an easier teacher
Oh.
because you get 5s on like everything except for your easiness level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's just the doom of a chemistry professor. Yeah.
Imagine. Hey all, Amanda here, and welcome to episode 29 of Great Beer Adventure. I hope your 2016 is shaping up to be all that you wanted it to be, and I also hope that you are enjoying our new format. Swing on over to our social media feeds, like Twitter, where you can find us at Great Beer Women, and let us know what you think. So how are those resolutions coming? If you resolve to go back to school, I know just the right person to talk to. I, personally, have always considered myself a lifelong learner, and today we get to sit down with perhaps the best professor of all time. Luci Benedict is a chemistry professor over at University of Southern Maine and does an entire course on fermentation. How cool is that? Can you imagine going to class and getting to learn all about beer and other fermentables? Sit back and get ready to see what Luci has been up to over at USM. I am at the Thirsty Pig today. I am sitting at the table with Luci Benedict, and we are going to get more into what Luci does. But first, hello. Welcome to the Thirsty Pig and our microphones.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, I'm so excited. So we actually met during Portland Beer Week. And it's kind of, I didn't even put this together till right now, but Allison Stevens, she was the one that first started Portland Beer Week, and we are sitting in her restaurant.
Oh, nice.
Slash bar. Sausage deliciousness place. To get the most specific you can. And so it's kind of ironic. No, ironic wouldn't be the right word, would it? Apropos? I don't know.
Yeah.
Something.
Fortuitous. I don't know.
Fortuitous. Yes. That would not come out of my mouth because I wouldn't have thought of that. But good. Yes, that works too. So here we are. We're sitting here in the Thirsty Pig today. It is a rainy day, and we are recording right at the tail end of 2015, and this is going to come out right at the beginning of 2016. So we actually got a special treat today when we walked in here for our beers, and we are going to be trying some of the Bissell Brothers Angels with Filthy Souls, I believe is the proper name of it, and it's made with maple syrup, and we'll talk a little bit about that when we get to round one. But first, this is the part of the show where I actually tell you a little bit about yourself.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'd like to hear it.
Yeah. So this is what I've been able to Google.
Okay.
And my Googling skills are not excellent, but feel free to, tell me when I'm wrong.
All right.
Because luckily, there are not a lot of Lucille Benedicts around.
That's right.
That was very helpful. Thank you
Yep.
to your parents
Yeah.
for naming you something that was not like everybody else's, because I have found a lot of people that I cannot figure out which one is them.
Uh-huh.
But you, it was easier. So I'm thinking that I'm not going to be too far off. All right, but you let me know, okay?
Okay.
All right, so you teach at USM.
Yep.
You are a chemistry professor.
Correct?
You like to look at street dust?
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Like,
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, my background is more in environmental research. So when I came to Maine, I thought it would be a great idea to sweep dirt off the street and look at what types of contaminants are in it, like different types of metals and organic stuff, because all that street dust washes down the drains and then goes into our rivers, so and then into the ocean. So that's what we do, or what we used to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
So have you been able to figure out how to make the street dust less dirty?
Not less dirty, but what we have been able to do is figure out better ways and better timings for sweeping the streets so that we get it off the streets before it washes into, especially small creeks like there's one right near the main mall, Long Creek, that's
Yep.
really impacted, and that's kind of where we focused. So we've been able to help them clean it up before it gets in there a little bit better.
Maybe they were really focused on that area of South Portland this year, because they definitely did not get to my part of the...
Yeah, that might be it.
that might explain it. We kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and my daughter's like, "Can I go rollerblading?" I'm like, "No."
Oh,
It's really
it's
sandy.
too sandy, yeah.
So that would explain. We're gonna use that, even if
Yeah.
that was not the reason. We're gonna say, "Oh, they were really worried about Long Creek." Now you mentioned that when you came to Maine, so that would lead me to assume that you're not from here originally.
Correct. Yep.
I see that you went to school in New York.
Yes.
At State University, New York. I guess it's SUNY. Is that what
Yep,
people
SUNY.
call it? And you were a Red Dragon.
I was, yes, very proud Red Dragon.
But I saw that and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna say that," because
Yep, SUNY Oneonta. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't know how to pronounce that last part.
Yeah, it's not that easy. But,
No.
Yeah.
And so I also found a little bit about you on Rate My Professor.
Oh, boy.
You ready for this one?
All right.
You're doing pretty good. You have a
Phew.
B. You have a B plus,
Okay.
a 4.3.
Nice.
But I'm gonna tell you, if you want to get a better grade, you need to start being an easier teacher,
Oh.
because you get 5s on like everything except for your easiness level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's just the doom of a chemistry professor. Yeah.
Not imagine. I also found your resume, and you have a YouTube channel. So just
I
so
do.
you know,
Nice.
Yeah.
Good to know I'm out there.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's really good to know. So, is there anything else that we should know about you? We're gonna get to why you're here in round 2.
No, I mean, I pretty much covered all of it. Yeah.
Google skills rocking today.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent. That is rare for me. So let's move right into round 1 now.
Awesome.
We're going to continue drinking this. We've been taking some sips, but let's talk about Bissell Brothers Angels with Filthy Souls. I heard... Well, first off, I'll ask you, do you have any idea where that name came from?
I have no idea. No idea.
Now, I think this is where it came from, but I can't be completely certain because I heard it from somebody that heard it from somebody. But in the Home Alone movies, at one point they showed him watching the little Home Alone guy. They showed him watching a movie, and they couldn't get the rights to the movie they wanted to, so they made their own movie to show in black and white, and it was called Angels with Filthy Souls.
Oh, I did not know that. I'm going to have to watch the movie again.
Yeah,
Check
go
that
in and look it out.
Yeah.
Now, some of our listeners might actually tell me that I'm completely wrong, and that's okay. But that's what I've heard.
Nice.
So it's really interesting. I also did see right from Bissell Brothers that this is their holiday beer. And I like their interpretation of a holiday beer.
I do too.
There's
Yeah.
no, like, quote-unquote holiday spices in it.
Yes. No nutmeggy, cinnamon.
So they call it an American porter with maple syrup.
Yeah, you can definitely taste the maple syrup in that.
Yeah.
Chocolate.
And they put 40 gallons of syrup to every 600 gallons of beer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever had a beer before with maple syrup. That's good.
I think there's 1 or 2 out there currently. I've heard that some of them are really sweet.
Yeah.
But this one, you get the essence of the maple syrup.
But it's not overpowering.
No, I don't think it is at all. I like the way it balances, and a lot of the Bissell Brothers beers has that hop flavor.
Yes.
And I don't think this one has it, but I think it balances the maple syrup, and I think it all works together in a very smooth thing. And it is 8%, which is a little scary to think about how smoothly it goes
I
down.
know.
Can you imagine if you just had like cans of this at home?
Oh, it would be dangerous.
Very,
Yes,
very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Absolutely.
And I love the color. It's a beautiful, beautiful dark beer.
Yeah, it's extraordinarily dark. Bissell Brothers actually had a beer release this summer called Seed. Did you hear about that one?
No.
So they put, for the beer that they made, they put 1,000 pounds of local berries in it.
Wow.
Again, we probably need like a proof checker on my facts and figures.
A lot of berries, though.
A lot. Like, I don't want to sell it. They just had a lot of berries. Have you ever seen, there's an SNL spoof on like Fox News where they go through and at the end of it they show all the things that were wrong, like with the
That'd be a long list.
it just kept going like that, like it just, the whole time it just keeps scrolling over them. I feel like I need one of those, like as you're listening to the podcast, be like, actually this is when it was.
Well, one of the nice things about Maine, about our local brewers, is that they're so experimental that I think you could pretty much say they've done anything and it's probably happened or they're thinking about it.
Right.
Because it's amazing how much they've tried and that they put in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, like Rising Tide and there's seawater where they literally go and get seawater.
Yeah.
You know, you could be like, yes, there is a brewer that puts seawater in their beer. And everybody's like, no. You're like, wait, we live in Maine.
Yeah.
It's real. Mm-hmm. We got people that put lobsters in beer. No. Yeah, actually we do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oysters, lobsters, kelp.
Yep.
Barreled Souls, we just released an episode a few weeks back, and they put canned cranberry sauce in one of their beers.
Nice.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I know Banded Horn did the spruce tips, and that was quite phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
it's
amazing.
And did you know that the Thirsty Pig, where we're currently sitting, actually made a sausage with spruce tips in it to go with their spruce
I
tea
didn't
beer?
know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Nice collaboration.
I know. I really like all the collaboration that happens here in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
Beer to beer, food to beer. There's also... I'm trying to collaborate with a brewer, like podcast to beer. There's so much that's happening between people, coffee roasters and beer.
Yes, yep.
It's, I don't know. I know that you didn't originally live in Maine, but do you now feel like Maine's kind of like your home and you're like, oh, Maine? Do you have that like...
Yes, yeah. and I was a little worried coming into Maine first that we wouldn't be like, I know we're not Mainers.
Right.
But, we kind of feel like outsiders, but we've never, ever felt like that. Like, it's just such a wonderful place. I can't imagine actually going anywhere else because it's great for families. It's great for young couples, old couples. It's just a fabulous place today.
And specifically, I mean, I know that there are little pockets all over the state of Maine, but I love being in this area because it's so creative.
Yes.
It's amazing. So right now, it would be a great time to transition into our second round. And we met, as we said, during Portland Beer Week, but it was at an event called the Art of... You're going to have to help me with the rest of it.
Yeah, the Art and Science of Craft Brewing.
Right. And it's just, I think that talks about the whole creativity that people are looking at brewing as a artistic and creative venture. Like, it's not just, I'm going to go brew some beer. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
And you were part of that event as a professor of chemistry and looking at the actual science of fermentation. Will you tell us a little bit about, how you, as a teacher, ended up with the fermentation and what you're doing with that now?
Yeah, so I got into working with brewers here in fermentation, first and foremost to try and find a way to reach my students because chemistry is so challenging and it's hard to see the application there between the science and going out into a profession. So I went to a tour at Allagash and saw a door in the brewery, in the tour room, that had all of these chemical symbols on it and structures. And I was like, oh, I wonder what's behind there. And that's when I got to meet their quality control team, and they were fabulous. And we got talking about all these things that they wish they could do. And I was like, I have all the tools to do it, and I have students who would love to be a part of it. So we started collaborating that way. And really just first as an interest for the students, and then we brought in more and more research into the mix because, again, like you said, it's so experimental. And anytime you're looking at the art of brewing, there's that science component that's coming right along with it. And how are we changing the chemistry that's going on, the biology, that's all going to change the different brews. So from that, we really grew to start adding it into labs I was teaching. I teach analytical chemistry, which in the most basic form is measuring stuff that's in stuff. It's really what we do.
Stuff that's in stuff. Okay, I get that.
Yeah. So we're looking at, what makes up, if you're looking at street dust, what makes up the street dust, what makes up the beer. And so we can really apply it to anything. So I thought, what better thing to apply it to than fermented products. So that's what we did in that class. And then from there, we moved on to teach fermentation science, which was the first time this year that we taught that, 300-level course, and it was amazing. We got to go visit lots of local brewers and really dive into the science behind what they were doing and going from there.
So when did you start? You said you went on a tour at Allagash. When did that tour occur?
So that must have happened in 2010 or 11, so it's been a few years. Yeah, it's been about 4 or 5 years since we started.
And now you keep saying fermented as a general. So do you look at more things other than beer?
Yes. Yep. So
sauerkraut, I mean, that's fermented.
Yep. We've looked at, in the fermentation class, we talked about sauerkraut, kombucha, kimchi, cheeses, breads, mead. We talked a lot about beer. That was a long time. But yeah, we covered as many products as we could. We even got into the different products you can make that aren't food, such as drugs and pharmaceuticals. So
oh, wow.
There's a big world out there, fermented products.
What kind of process did you have to go through to convince the school to be like, yeah, let's talk about beer for pretty much an entire class?
Well, it was surprisingly easy. It's really, it's been a topic that's been growing and growing over time, especially in STEM and science. And so it was a pretty easy sell. The students were really excited about it. And that's,
well, I can imagine.
Yeah. That's what, but again, it was a 300-level course, so
right.
Definitely a lot of science that they need to know going in. But yeah, if you look at, there's a lot of programs that are popping up all over the U.S. that are focusing on fermentation and brewing, and so it's becoming more, I think, mainstream, more accepted.
Do you think it was an easier sell here in the Portland area, seeing there is such a strong community of brewers, than it might have been someplace else?
Absolutely. We've got a huge community right here in Portland. And I think the other thing that helped sell the course was I already had collaborations going on with Allagash and Rising Tide and Foundation. So we already had some backing to the science and the collaborations behind it. Yeah.
And now, is there any taste testing as part of your course?
We have had some taste testing, yeah. Most of the taste testing happens after the end of the day, once we end class, and then they can go sit around in the tasting rooms. But that is a big piece we've heard time and time again from local brewers to the students, is that if you want to know beer, you have to taste it. And you have to taste different kinds and, different breweries, and really get out there and expand your palate. So there's been tasting that's gone along with it.
Well, you would imagine, just thinking about, we learned about yeast so far in this crazy journey that we've been on, and that different yeasts make things taste differently. So you've got to really think about, it's just an organism. Yeast is just an organism, right? That's right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I was a math teacher. Science was never my forte, but I'm learning stuff as I go here. So it's just an organism. So you wouldn't necessarily think that this small, tiny piece could change things so dramatically.
Right.
So I think that makes a lot of sense. So you go, you have class, you must be 21, basically, right?
We got lucky in that all the students were 21, yep. So that was good. Yeah.
And then you do a field trip to actually see how the different yeast works.
Exactly, yeah. We spent a good month and a half in the classroom, really just learning the basics of fermentation. And then, we went out and we toured. We went to Allagash and Rising Tide for tours so they could see breweries. We had Foundation came in and talked to us a lot about yeast and how different strains will really change the flavors and mutation of strains. We also went to Maine Meadworks, which has an amazing fermentation process that they go through.
It's like nothing else I've ever seen.
It's the only one in the United States. It's really amazing.
Yeah, there's like a centrifuge or something that it goes. Maybe that's the wrong word.
It goes through like a big column of ginger and yeast.
There's this machine that's like a dialysis machine or something that it goes.
Oh, that like pumps it through to cool it down.
Yeah. It's this whole thing with the columns, and you can see everything moving, and the gingers, and if you have not gone to Maine Meadworks, you need to, because you got to see how this is done. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really and the fact that they can ferment mead in just a day is just. I have mead fermented in my closet that's been there for months, and it's still going.
So you do a little home meeting. Do you do any home brewing?
Yep, we do a lot of home brewing, and in fact, it's really ramped up since I taught the class because I learned a lot. So that's been fun. But
So it seems like most home brewers aspire to someday be a brewer. Are you going to go out and open your own brewery someday, or just teach the science?
I think I'll just teach the science. I really love teaching, so I can't see myself leaving that anytime soon. But it's best when teaching about beer. That's really the best part of it. Yeah,
I gotta imagine that would be just so awesome. I used to teach math at the high school level, and I would just see so much math and science in some of my own hobbies. Unfortunately, 15, 16, 17-year-olds can't really learn about beer.
Yes.
But I could see, like, as I was going through, thinking about, like, all the different pieces and parts, and just, I can imagine that'd be a lot of fun to teach through that kind of method. Mm-hmm. Now, you have some big news that just kind of is coming your way, right? Didn't you get a big grant?
Yeah, we just got a really big grant at USM to fund the creation of a lab at USM that serves two purposes for local brewers. The first and foremost is to provide quality control, education, and laboratory space for local brewers to come in and work with USM students to look at things like percent alcohol, or percent ABV, IBUs. We're looking at color, doing a lot of those quality control testing that brewers would typically have to send out to labs outside of the state. They can now do here with the help of students, because ideally, when our brewers get bigger and bigger, just like Allagash, when they start out, they didn't have quality control. As you get bigger, you want to add more and more of that into your laboratory and do it, or into your brewery and do it in-house. So we're kind of providing that education and the skills and the space for right now as they grow, and go in from there. And the other piece of that is to provide research. So looking at things like metal content in the beer, because metals will oxidize and give you a really gross flavor, and you don't want that. Looking at sulfur and the concentrations of sulfur in beer, and just kind of doing some research projects, because undergrad research is a really great hook for students to get into the STEM field. So,
now I've heard that here in Portland we actually have really good water, though.
We have great water. We have fabulous water in Portland.
So would the research around what's in the water be more for places not necessarily on the Portland Water District, or would that even still be the case here in Portland?
Yeah, we wouldn't have to do too much water chemistry in the laboratory, because most brewers are using Portland water. If you're outside, like I know Nice is on a well, so they do water testing. We could possibly do that, but we're looking more at just what's in the beer, in the wort, and going from there. So that, I mean, there would be things that will be helpful, like if you want to sell in New Hampshire or other states that require you to have a percent ABV on your bottles, we can provide that service and teach brewers how. And there'll be lots of workshops, how to count yeast cells and how to use a microscope and that kind of thing. So
that sounds really exciting. Like, as a non-brewer, I'd be interested in those kind of workshops, just as a geek, like, of beer.
Yep.
I think that would be a lot of fun to really think about and figure out, like, all that different stuff. I think there's a lot of stuff you can learn about beer in this amazing creative place that we're in.
Exactly. Yeah.
So would you say that this is an open call to anybody that might want to come and, work with you?
Yeah, any brewers that want to come in and work. I'm hoping that this spring we're really getting the lab situated, getting our methods in order, so that when we start getting brewers in, we know what we're doing. And then come fall, we'll be hopefully open for business.
Well, that'd be really exciting.
And start going forward. So,
like I had mentioned earlier, we did talk to Barreled Souls recently, and they do things really differently. They do all their fermenting in barrels, and they use a Burton Union system, and he was talking about atmospheric pressure on yeast cells and all this craziness. So you might want to reach out to them if you haven't done so already.
You should, yeah. No, I haven't.
He's a little geeky in his own right about the science, and he really has this thing about the Oxford comma. I don't really know. I like numbers in beer. That's where I'm at. Just leave me alone with the English and the science. But excellent. Is there anything else that we should know coming out of USM and out of the chemistry courses that our listeners might be interested in?
I think we've covered pretty much everything. I think, keep on the lookout for what's coming up at USM in terms of our lab. I'm sure there'll be, as we have workshops, we'll have speakers coming in. So, and we're working with Maine Brewers Guild as well. So I think there'll be a lot of activity going on, both for brewers and also just people who love the science behind brewing. So
Wonderful. If Sam from Dogfish Head comes up at any point, you will reach out to me directly.
oh yeah,
correct?
sure,
Right?
definitely,
All right.
yes.
I don't have a beer crush on him at all.
Not at all.
No.
I would really like to get my hands on some of that beer they came out with, the high IBU, and test it because I'm really curious. Is it
Oh.
really 600?
Yeah,
IBUs.
that's true.
Yeah.
You should
Amazing.
totally do a social media campaign, and I bet you could get
Should.
yourself a vial of that.
I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah, because I heard that your mouth can only register up to like 100 and something IBUs.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with the extra 500?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't even. Is
Does
it
it-
chemically possible to cram that many IBUs into a bottle?
Yeah.
Or into a beer? I don't know.
and then would it like clear out your nostrils? 'Cause, I mean, like, what else would it do? Like, it's very interesting. It's great, like when you start thinking about things at a more scientific level. Like, how is that possible? What does it physically do to you? Like, if you can only register up to 100, I can't even remember. It's somewhere around the 100.
Yep.
What does the extra do? Like, what happens?
I have no idea.
Dang it, now I'm really curious. Now I'm going to reach out for you.
Great.
Dear Dogfish Head, could USM Science Department get a small vial of your...
That would be beautiful. That would be perfect. Yes.
All right, we will do that. My buddy Dano, who is now a part of the show, you've all met him. He's sitting here to the right of me taking notes, and we are going to be putting that on our social media campaign. We got a thumbs up, so we're good to go on that. Moving past Dogfish Head, though, let's go to round 3.
All right.
All right, so round 3 is all about you
All right.
and your very first beer memory. Or the one you want us to think is your very first beer memory.
Right. Yeah. My beer. So I've got. I think I kind of have 2, if that's okay.
That's completely fine. That is
Right.
not the most we've ever had. People
All
are
right.
like, I have 7. And you're like, okay, go for it.
So my first beer memory is back in undergrad when I was at SUNY Oneonta. And I had just met my now husband, and his favorite beer was Labatt Blue. And I remember drinking a sip
Canadian.
of it. Yeah, and never drinking beer again after that sip. For a very wine coolers, wine, mixed drinks, those are my thing. And then we went to, it's no longer there, this fabulous bar that used to be in upstate New York called Mahar's. They had like 200 to 300 beers there. It was a great place. It was a place where if you ordered the wrong way, they would yell at you. You felt
That
like you
sounds
belonged.
lovely.
It was great.
It sounds like such a heartwarming, charming type
Yeah.
of place.
So you had to drink beer though. There was no other real option there. So I think I started with a Guinness. For some reason, that really spoke to me, and that was my first beer that I drank, and I was like, oh, I can see why people like beer. And from there on, I really stuck to the darks, but that was the first beer I ever liked, and so it's
So-
always been close to my heart. Guinness.
I completely understand that. My tastes have completely changed since my first heartwarming beer kind of thing. But it was a Pumpkinhead.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
I mix it with a little bit of a darker beer because it's a little too sweet for my palate. But I can't not have it.
Yeah.
Like, I have to find some way to be able, like, I do a nice dark beer and then put some of that in it so I still get the Pumpkinhead essence because I'm so nostalgic about things that... Yeah, I get that. You're like when you were talking about Guinness, you're like cheeks got off.
I know. It was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I've come a long way since then, but yeah. And that's a great idea to mix them. I've never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Genius, yeah.
Well, here they do a lot of cocktails actually, like beer cocktails. I got to find somebody to have
Yeah.
on the show, but will do like. Mixing different beers. They cinnamon the rim of some Pumpkinhead ones. They do like all kinds of.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah,
This is mind-blowing right now.
It's crazy,
Wow.
like all that they'll do to like. It's its own thing. Like there's what the brewers do and how delicious and amazing, and then somebody's like, "Ooh, if I take this one and mix it together," and
Yeah.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, round 4.
Okay.
All right, so we are nearly done our Angels with Filthy Souls. Pretty high ABV. So we're gonna move into the round that we lovingly refer to as 3 sheets to the wind, 3 random questions, and we've got you sharing some. So we're gonna keep asking you to share. So,
All right.
first question. Way back in the day, pre-college, or maybe it was college, I don't know, you can decide. What was your favorite cartoon? Were you a cartoon watcher in college?
My favorite cartoon. That's a good question. I'd have to say I was really digging the Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny. And then there was the Roadrunner and the Coyote. That was probably my favorite. Yeah. Well, I love Bugs Bunny. The Roadrunner and the Coyote. Just the sheer stupidity of the Coyote all those years to keep chasing that Roadrunner.
Persistence.
Yeah, persistence. Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is something that we teach students all the time.
Actually, that explains a lot about me. Yeah, I'm pretty persistent. So
right. you can't say that it's stupidity. It's persistence. He just refuses to give up.
Yeah, and he did always change his mode of attack. So
right.
Yeah. Yep.
Life-changing moment right here.
It was.
You're like,
Wow.
Wait a minute. I am the Coyote.
Hopefully a little more successful than the Coyote.
I hope so.
Yes.
Yeah. So the Coyote's arch nemesis is the Roadrunner and all of the Acme products.
That's right.
Do you have an arch nemesis?
Oh. I probably do have an arch nemesis. Yes.
Yes. And we're going to leave it at that?
Yep, I think we're going to have to leave it at that.
All right.
But yes, there's definitely one out there.
Good to know. Now I'm intrigued. But we'll move on to the next question.
All right.
And I'll buy you a couple drinks after the podcast to figure out who the arch nemesis is. So the next question is, what song do you have stuck in your head right now?
Oh, it's got to be Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Yep.
It is right before Christmas when we're recording this.
Yes, and sung by Ella Fitzgerald. That's what's in my car. Yeah, it's either that or the Chipmunks Christmas song. But
do you really want a hula hoop?
I kind of do. No.
Yes, I do.
Just a Christmas present would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, those Christmas songs, they get stuck in your head.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah, my daughters, right before this interview, were singing them to me, and so I had one stuck in my head. Mm-hmm. But luckily I forgot what it was, and I'm not going to think too hard because it'll come like popping back, and then I won't be able to stop singing.
Yeah.
Oh, so frustrating. All right, last question.
All right.
The last question is, what was the best food you had to eat this week?
Oh, this week. Well, I think probably the best thing I've had to eat this week was I just had a noodle bowl at Paymen.
Oh.
Their Tokyo Abura Bowl. That is my favorite.
I haven't had that particular one.
And on a rainy day like today, it's just perfect.
Now,
it's hot.
My guess is you probably didn't pregame this interview, but I kind of lie and I tell you that's the last question, but I want to know if you paired a beer with it.
I didn't. In fact, I was going to, but then I went with tea because...
Tea's nice on a rainy day with some soup.
It needs something hot.
Yeah.
Warm.
I'll forgive you.
Okay.
All right. Next time, though.
Okay. Well, and I knew it was coming here.
Right.
So...
If you had have been able to pick a beer to go with that, what would you have picked?
Oh, that's a good question.
It could be any beer.
Any beer.
You can even make one up.
Oh, no. Any beer. I mean, I'd probably pick something like a Tripel. Kind of like Tripels right now. Probably what I would go with. Either that or, just that's it. I really like, what is it? I'm not going to think of it. But yeah, Tripel would be great. Yeah. Let's go with that.
I could go for one of those right now. Mm-hmm. It's a good rainy day beer.
It is, yeah.
Or stouts. I sometimes think stouts kind of like hug you from the inside.
Yeah. Or browns. I like browns. They just feel like a common, like warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We should get more beer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thank you. This is fun.
And I'm really excited to see what USM has to come. Mm-hmm. I probably would have changed my major if I had been able to choose beer as a major. But maybe I'll go back to school for like the 17th time.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you and cheers.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
student loans is too many. I should probably pay off the ones I already have before I head back to school, but Luci's course sounds amazing. And that new grant? Maine is already such an amazing place for beer. Think what it will be like when we have a university with a science lab teaching kids how to work in a brewery's quality control lab. Maine is going to become even more of a beer mecca. If you haven't gone to Maine yet, make sure that you plan your next vacation here. It's getting pretty awesome in these parts. Thanks to Luci Benedict for sitting down with us and chatting about her course and for teaching her students all about beer. If you do end up heading this way, or if you are already in the state, hit us up on Facebook and perhaps we can grab a pint at a nearby brewery. If you haven't done so already, we still need people to fill out our survey. Links can be found on our show notes, greatbeeradventure.com/029. We really need all of your help. Thank you so much. The music throughout today's episode is by Old Etc. out of Biddeford, Maine. To learn more about them, head over to greatbeeradventure.com/music. We have new things headed your way every week and can't wait to share them with you. Special thanks to our behind-the-scenes guru, Dano Pugach. Today's episode was created, produced, and edited by me, Amanda. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Cheers. Want to know more? Be sure to find us on Instagram at Great Beer Women. If you haven't done so already, be sure to head over to greatbeeradventure.com/subscribe to subscribe. That way, you'll be the first to know when a new episode goes live. Also, don't forget to tell your friends about us. A small party is fun, but a huge party is extraordinary. Let's get more people knowing about beer in the great state of Maine. Great Beer Adventure is part of the Great Pint Society. And that's a stipend to have people hate me.
Right.
So I was like, oh wait, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom, but I'm not really good at that either.
Yeah.
So this gets me out of the house.
This is great. Yeah. Very cool.
But yeah, that's the really long story of how I became a podcaster.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think anybody should get paid $3,000 for people to hate them.
No.
Like,
no.
I need more than that for people to hate me and my kids to be like, who are you?
Yeah.
I'm your mom.